up, people? Glenn Lenz here. Welcome back to the 12 Days of Plug and Plays here on Spider Plays. I got nothing. Anyway, today we're in for something that's almost as fucking bad as the Disney Plug and Play. The SpiderMan Plug and Play. And once again, this is set up like your standard Atari 2600 controller with the joystick and the A and the B button on-off menu. But there's one glaring difference about this when you look at this a certain way. What does that look like to you? That looks like a dick. Honestly, it just looks like a flaccid dick. Any of you kids out there that have a single mom at home, don't let her get a hold of this. You can only imagine what could happen next. And honestly, if you turn the thing around, if you look at it like this, look at Spider-Man's face, it looks like he's got a big throbbing hard-on coming out of his head. It's just very poorly designed, and it perplexes me. And it doesn't feel like quality at all either. I mean, this is one of the ones that wore out really easily. The joystick's fucked. It just does not feel like a quality product right off the bat. Alright, well, let's get to it. I'm just gonna grab this cock and go rock. That was bad. Very cringeworthy.
Well, okay, true believers, let's see what this penis has in store for us. Once again, like every other plug and play, it's just comprised of a series of mini-games. Right off the bat, before I say anything, the audio is fucking awful. Right away when you start the fucking thing, it just rapes your ears. Ugh. Anyway, the first game we come across is Streets of Rage. I wish. It's called Streets of the City. It's just a really shitty side-scrolling platformer that's just screaming, I need a D-pad to be played. You're playing it with a dildo, and it's near impossible to control Spider-Man. It's almost impossible to kill any of the villains. You can punch and kick and shoot webs till the cows come home, and it seems like they can always hit you before you can hit them. Power-ups are always in just weird, obscure locations that's hard to get to. Sometimes you'll end up just falling in a pit or not being able to get to them at all and just saying fuck it and moving on. Jumping from platform to platform in this game is fucking horrendous. Because of the joystick and how shitty the joystick is, you always end up just jumping around aimlessly or latching onto walls or vice versa. Try that when an enemy is nearby, he'll always land a hit and kill your ass. It's just awful. The purpose of each level is to collect cash bags to stop Rhino, and it feels like you never ever reach him. Just keep collecting cash bags and getting killed over and over. The only hope you have is just web slinging through each area and just trying to get the cash as quick as you can to traverse. But eventually you make it to Rhino, and he's the boss, apparently. Not much of one either. It's just really brainless the way you gotta defeat Rhino, and it's really underwhelming. He's almost easier to beat than all the enemies in the level prior. All you do is just wait for him to run into the wall, get stuck, and then just kick him in the ass over and over again until his health's depleted, and there you go, you beat him. The next level in this series is just defusing bombs, and the controls are so fucking awful that after a while I just gave up. I have to say, this part of the level reminded me of the Spider-Man game on Atari 2600 where you gotta climb up the wall and defuse a bomb. So yeah, it's just pretty much another crappy ripoff. After this game, you can head over to the Spider Training Area. And this game is just a mindless target practice game where you shoot webs at enemies. The joystick always centers back in the middle of the screen. It's a lot like the mini game that was on Toy Story for the Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo. It was the exact same thing. The only thing is, it was alright in that game because it was only a small part of a great game. This is actually a whole game of a plug-and-play game. And it's incredibly shitty. Nothing worth talking about here. The next game is Venom's Vindication. Well, it's a game about Venom, so you'd think it would be fucking awesome, right? Well, I'm going to use the word mindless to describe this game again, much like every other plug-and-play game, because it's an incredibly mindless game where all you do is just catch every bomb that Venom throws, and occasionally you beat up a random thug that comes running across the screen. It goes on, and on, and on, and every level's the same thing, and the difficulty never really ramps up. The next game is all about the lizard. It's called Escape from the Sewers, where you gotta track down the lizard. This game was way too ambitious. There's no way the programming on this plug and play could even handle something like this. It looks just like Fester's Quest on the NES. Something with this low amount of power can't handle a first-person perspective kind of view, or gameplay for that matter. Every area looks the same. You can't tell where the fuck you're going. The main point of this game is to defuse bombs, and you defuse them by just shooting webs at them. Very thought-provoking. The lizard is a mindless moron. You can just shoot webs at him and he doesn't do anything. It's abysmal, it's tedious, it doesn't go anywhere, and you just get frustrated and give up. Vulture's Venture is the next game. It's an incredibly shitty version of Missile Command. I don't really understand this, but I guess they ripped off Atari 2600, so, you know. All that happens in this game is Spidey hangs upside down on a metal beam. The Vulture's got a missile launcher that just keeps shooting missiles at you, and you just gotta keep aiming for the missiles, with some of the worst controls in a game like this I've ever seen. And that's it, you just keep shooting missiles until they're all gone, and make sure the missiles don't shoot the beams or Spidey falls down, because he can't swing away like he does in the comic books. He's just incapable of doing that, I guess. It's like the programmers of this game didn't read a Spider-Man comic book and don't know anything about Spider-Man's powers or origins or anything like that, or villains. Why the fuck would Vulture need a missile launcher? And the Vulture just flies around. The Vulture's got a whole shitload of weaponry on his suit, but that's his big plan to stop Spider-Man. Lure him by a missile launcher and just fly around a construction yard. It's completely stupid. Well, to sum it all up, there's nothing good about it. It's a complete pile of shit. It was overly ambitious in a few areas. Okay, I guess the only good thing about it is some of the art that was taken from the Ultimate Spider-Man comic books I used to read, so that was kind of nice, I guess. The sound is just awful. Like I said, it just rapes the fuck out of your ears. The controls are an enormous fucking mess. A lot of these games were not meant to be played with this kind of a joystick, and whoever designed the joystick was a dumbass. It works like complete ass. But I guess that's as much as you can expect out of a game console that looks like a sex toy.
Well, there you fucking have it. This thing was about as bad as The Amazing Spider-Man 2. It's on par with how shitty that movie was. There's nothing good about it. Was it worth 20 bucks? No, it's incredibly cheap. The games all suck, the controls suck. It's worn down, I get it, but it shouldn't suck this much. This is one of the worst plug-and-plays I've ever played. Words can't describe how shitty this one is. But anyway, there's lots more fun to come, guys. So tune in for the next one. I will see you later.